Hello, Diamond Tribe. It is me, Jamie Radiance Moorhead, your favorite Christian life coach, and I'm here because it is Wednesday. And normally on my Wednesday, I would drop a clip from my podcast, I Wasn't Taught to Be a Wife, but I am not interviewing anybody this season. Season 3 is going to be my foundation season. I am going to be explaining to you why the podcast was even created, when God had really actually called me to create the podcast, and what delayed me from creating the podcast, why I named it what I named it, and all of those things, right? So today I kind of just want to touch on a couple things. So the first thing is, why did I name it I Wasn't Taught to Be a Wife? Because I wasn't. According to the Bible and what a wife is considered to be, I wasn't taught to be that. Now, I was taught to be domesticated. I was taught to cook, to clean, to even be understanding. Like, my mom was a great wife to my dad. And, but as far as the spiritual aspect of it and being able to fight for your husband in prayer, teaching other people these things that the Bible teaches, that, that didn't happen. And so I would say in 2016 is when I was really originally called to create this podcast, because I had read the book of Titus and I was flabbergasted that we had never ever read this book in church. You get what I'm saying? And so I was like, but then when I read the book of Titus, it actually tells you what type of leader to follow, and I kind of understood why it was never read in churches, because if you read it, you would be questioning where you're going, right? So, but I didn't really, I was like bold, but I didn't know how to handle people coming for you. So originally, the podcast wasn't called I Wasn't Talking to Your Wife. It was called What's Your Truth, which is no longer, you'll no longer find it on Facebook, because I have, disabled the page. But anyways, I just started writing a book though, and it was titled I Wasn't Taught to Be a Wife. Okay, and it's I would say I'm pretty much done with that. But anyways, let's read Titus really quick, okay? Let's start Titus chapter 2, and I want you to emphasize on verse 4 through 8, okay? So it says right here in verse 4, okay, wait. Let's verse 3. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's just start at chapter 2. Okay. So it says, "But you are to proclaim things consistent with sound teaching. Older men are to be self-controlled, worthy of respect, sensible, and sound in faith, and love, and endurance. In the same way, older women are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not slaves to excessive drinking. They are to teach what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands and to love their children, to be self-controlled, pure, workers at home, kind, and in submission to their husbands, so that God's word will not be slandered." So that's a lot. And it says that the older women are supposed to teach the younger women these things, because it's not something that is innate. And so what I found to be interesting, especially being on different podcasts and different panels, is people assume that it's, when women go, no, first of all, people assume that submission is something that's natural, and it's not. So let's back up there. It ain't. It has to be taught, okay? And then 2, other women would say, well, if I felt safe, I would submit. No, you still really wouldn't. There would still be a resistance, because you need to be taught what that looks like. But another thing too, when you read Titus, it starts off with what the man should look like, and a lot of times we don't know what a godly man should look like. Okay, so I want to define what wife means. So let me get my laptop, and I have it pulled up because these are definitions that we should know. So when I look up the word wife, to define the word wife, it says a married woman considered in relation to her spouse. But then it says a woman, especially an old or uneducated one. So I said, let me look up the etymology of the word wife, because I didn't know anything about it being considered to be an uneducated woman. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, like, hold on. Wait a minute. Do I really want to be called a wife? But when I look at the etymology of the word, it does say woman, human, female, lady, female partner in a sanctioned union. In a sanctioned union. So then I said, let me go ahead and look up marriage, okay? Marriage. What does marriage mean? It says the legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship, historically and in some jurisdictions, specifically a union between a man and woman. Okay? And then the next definition says a combination or mixture of two or more elements. Okay? So, went to the etymology of the word. My leg is going numb. Etymology of the word. And in the 1300s, okay, the word marriage means action of entering into wedlock. Also a state or condition of being husband and wife. Matrimony, wedlock. So this is what is between a man and a woman. And I know me saying that one little statement there, people are probably going to come for me, and that's okay. But what I hate to say, what I hate to see is we always want to take biblical things and then make, like I said, we always want to take biblical things and pervert them, and that's not right. What is so crazy, you guys, is my TikTok, when I said that statement, literally just stopped on its own. So anyways, because I know this is going to end up being a touchy subject, it's okay, but you can do what you want, but stop messing up the sanctions and the unions and the things that God created and is specific about in His Word. So we are going to, every Wednesday, we're going to have a lesson about marriage, about being a wife, about being single, and what it means to say that I wasn't taught to be a wife, but that doesn't mean you have to stay that way. We're going to look at clips from previous seasons. The married women that I have interviewed have given phenomenal advice, you guys. I don't feel like they have gotten the push or the, like trending that they should have. And so God willing, it will happen in this season. Because I do see people like now there's like doing things with Titus, but when I started, nobody was even on the book of Titus or talking about teaching others to be a wife, and that's fine and dandy, but like I said, it's always good to be the original. It's nothing like the original, because God purposed that in my heart. Now I've been delayed, I have been disobedient, I have been, because of insecurities that I have and expectations that I have before I would be able to really speak on this thing. But this is life, and I'm going to be obedient for sure in this season, as you can see. So make sure you tune in to I Wasn't Taught to Be a Wife off season, or season 3, Get to Know Me, and share, comment, ask any questions, because I'm sure I interviewed somebody that has answered those questions, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Peace out, you guys.